Detroit, welcome to the D, baby.
313, Detroit's love, the Motor City. Detroit's love, can't nothing stop me. Detroit's love, I love my city. Detroit's love.
When you know you're from Detroit, you know you.
Welcome to another episode, Middle Ground with JLE. Didn't mean for that to play. L.L.C, where we treat you like family. That is the theme song, Detroit Love, from my first album, JLE Experience. Have another amazing guest for you today. We have author, editor, speaker, writing coach, host of Meet the Author TV on Exposure Network TV, and CEO of Michelle G. Cameron, LLC. Michelle G. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's ask just a few questions about yourself. First one being, what led you to this path?
That's an interesting question. So I kind of fell into it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I have been interested in writing and books pretty much my whole life. I was raised in a home where I was surrounded by books. My mother was an English lit teacher and the librarian for a high school. And I'm originally from the island of Jamaica, so that was in Jamaica. And I was reading classics from the age of 10, even probably younger. And so I've always been intrigued by storytelling and words. And then as the years went on, of course, we migrated to the United States. My youngest sister, she started asking me to look over things that she was working on in school. So papers, she started sending them to me. I would mark them up, send them back. She got good grades every time. So I just kept doing that. And she sent me things to look over until she, the last report she sent was for a write-up she had to do for a student doctor that was shadowing her. And then I told her at that point, you don't need me anymore. You kind of got this now. So I followed her through her pretty much her whole educational journey, editing her work as she went along. And then I decided after different life changes, my mother passed away shortly after we relocated to the United States. So I was still pretty young at the time. And then got married. The marriage didn't work. And as I was going through that whole process of healing after that, I started blogging. And then after blogging, people kept saying, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I'm like, what are these people talking about? And then it became like a crescendo. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I should. So I sat down and I wrote my first story. The title of it is It's My Life, and I Live Here, One Woman's Story. And it was released in 2011. And I really haven't stopped writing since. Wow. Then after writing that book and a couple other books, people started cornering me, asking me, so how do you write a book? How do you publish? And it just turned into another thing again. So now I wrote a book about that, which is Write That Book, Tips for New Authors. But I thought that's where it would end. No, they wanted more stuff. So then I decided to coach. So that's how it went. It's just demand. You know, people kept asking me to do things. And I said, okay, there has to be a way for me to package it so that people will want to buy it, basically. And that's what I did. I've been doing this now for quite a while. I started officially coaching authors in 2019, but unofficially, I've been doing it for years before that. So that's how this all came about. I didn't plan any of it.
Now, what's been the impact of your coaching?
What's that? Say it again.
What's been the impact of your coaching?
Oh, so there have been quite a few people who have completed their books. So they've met with me. We've gone through the courses together, and books have been released. The latest is a book that I'm going to be editing starting today. I coached her through the whole process. And I think part of the reason why a lot of the coaching I do is important work is because a lot of the people that I'm coaching are people that have been through traumatic events, but they want to write about it. So a little bit of my coaching, it's not really therapy because I'm not, of course, a licensed therapist, but I can relate to the challenges around getting it out of your heart and your head onto paper, and also trying to figure out exactly what do you want to write and what should be kept off the pages, because it's too personal to put there. And so things like that are what I work through with them. So most of my clients actually have a really strong story to share. And it's
Mhm.
just a way of them working through how to share the story. So that's the key of it. Um, and so, like I said, I'm excited because some of my clients even have gone on to coach other people based on the
Awesome.
content of their books. I could call a couple names now if you want, but I don't know if I should or not.
No, go ahead. This show's
Okay.
about you. Do
Yeah.
you?
So there's one person that comes to mind is Mrs. Shanae Pugh, and she went through a traumatic divorce before. She's remarried now, but
Okay.
because of the impact of the divorce and how it affected her and her children, she actually wrote one for the man that went through divorce, one for the woman that's went through divorce, and one's for the children. And I had the privilege of editing two of those books, two of the three, the one for the man and the one for the woman. And the books were so powerful to me that I actually did the unorthodox thing of buying the one for the man and handing it to my ex-husband, because as I told you, my marriage didn't work either. So I actually gave him a copy and I said, this is a book I came across and I thought, this could be helpful. And he told me, he gave me feedback and said it was a really good book. And I told her. And so these are the types of things that happen when I coach authors. The other thing I want to say too, with between coaching and editing, is I get immersed in the book.
Okay.
So it becomes, some of the books actually are in my spirit still. Like some of the books I've edited or coached people through, I can still remember details from some of those books. And they've actually changed my life too. So it's a two-way street for me. It's not just me giving you a service, it's me learning about another person and their path. And it's me guiding them through what they can do with that experience or that information to help somebody else.
That's amazing. So, how do we get to Meet the Author TV show?
Okay, so Meet the Author TV. I hired a publicist towards the end of last year. Tam Lawrence, for those of you who don't know,
Oh,
Tam Lawrence is an amazing media mogul out
Mhm.
there. I feel like she is a hidden gem out there. Some people know her, a lot of people don't. And I want to make it part of my business too, to have her story shared with the world, because she has a powerful story as well. And so we got connected last year,
Mhm.
and we became more connected officially in December of last year. And this was her concept. She said, um, you can feature other authors, because that's kind of what I do anyway, where with my work, I usually announce when somebody's book is going live. I'm not a publisher, so I
Mhm.
don't have a publishing company, but because I'm so vested in the people that I've worked with, when
Mhm.
they launch their books, I'm announcing it everywhere and I'm excited just like them and I'm
Awesome.
screaming and all this other stuff. And so Meet the Author is a natural progression of that, where I get to feature authors from around the world. I really want to focus on especially people who have a really riveting story to share.
Mhm.
I most likely eventually will meet with people who everybody knows, the famous authors. But I feel like there's a lot of grassroots authors out there who have powerful stories that people need to hear. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so I want to invite them on the show. And this will air, as we mentioned before, on Exposure Network TV. And I'm excited. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, and I was looking you up to come up with questions. Like, TV show. Awesome.
Yes.
big baller out here in these streets.
Yeah.
So, would you ever thought you would be having your own TV show from right?
No, never ever crossed my mind. I have been on TV before, but that was many, many years ago. I was a kid. Never thought I would do that again. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're the CEO of Michelle G. Cameron LLC. What does that
Yes.
all entail?
Okay. So basically, we talked about it. So I coach authors, I edit books, and there was a time when I was doing workshops, like, whether virtually or in person with groups of people. I'm switching that out under the guidance of TAM to go on tour basically
Okay.
and have retreats where we meet in very nice villas or
Nice.
mansions or whatever. And we bring people in for a few days just to have a very nice, peaceful, calm, beautiful place for them to just stay for a few days.
Mhm.
And then I would coach them through the process of writing their stories. And so that's where we're transitioning that to. But that's really all that it encompasses, is everything having to do with books and editing and coaching. Yeah.
And you're speaker as well.
Yes.
How do you like that experience?
Well, I'm still very new to that officially. I've done it in corporate America, of course, had to do it, make presentations in front of staff and things like that. But to do it in a way where you're talking about your passion, I'm still new at that. So I'm pretty sure working with Tam, I will be getting more opportunities to get to be in front of others to do that. So excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of great stuff.
Thank you.
Now you have, as we got going across, your own website. That's a one-stop shop for all services you provide.
Yes. There, I don't know if I'm trying to remember how it's laid out. I don't think there's anything there right now for the retreats right now. So we're still in the process of adding things as needed. The other thing that wasn't mentioned too is that I am starting to write for Exposure Magazine as well. So that's also under the umbrella of the Exposure Network. So I'm excited about that too. I'm really excited about doing that.
Now, what type of articles will you be writing?
That's a good question. I'm
Hmm.
still new at it, but so far I wrote a review on a book that it's a very unique book that I came across. And what it is, it's like a bibliophile for those who love books, and it's a way for people to see different book spines. It's like drawings or paintings of different book spines, famous books or books of minority writers, where people can actually pursue these types of books and say, hey, I want to read this. I never thought of reading this. Or they want to expand their reading, what they read, then they
Hmm.
could buy this book. And the article is actually up on Exposure Magazine now. I can send you the link later if you want,
Okay.
where it talks about this unique book. So that's the one article I've done so far. But
Okay.
my plan is to also use it as a means to expose the authors that come on the show. So, you come on the show and I can write an article about you and post it on the magazine. There's another way for people to be featured. So,
Hey, that's awesome. We getting word out about authors.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote a book myself that I'm still
Oh,
learning how you publish stuff and everything,
yes.
or market it more.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think the marketing part of books is the part that a lot of us are challenged with. I'm going to include myself.
Hmm.
So I find it's funny, but I find it easier to market somebody else's book than to market my own. And I know that the work I do is important work,
Hmm.
and it's good work. I mean, people have read my books and said they've gotten a lot of content and information, but it's a little challenging to market my own stuff. I'm working on that.
Yeah, you don't seem like you someone that want to talk about yourself too tough.
That's not
You know?
really. Yeah, so I'm working on that too. It's I have to think of it in this way. If I don't tell people what I do, who can I help then? If they don't know that I can help them,
That's true.
how am I going to be able to do that? So it's a reframing in my mind how that
You're
works.
doing a lot of great, cool stuff, so you gotta let them know. And
Yes.
your voice out here.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you was in corporate America.
Hmm.
What made you want to make a shift to be more entrepreneurial?
So the one thing I like about the entrepreneurial space is that, for one, when you find your niche and your passion, you can take it as far and as high as you want to, and
Mhm.
financially too. There's no cap on how much you earn as an entrepreneur, from what have seen over the years. Um, I think a lot of times, though, our limitations are mental, because of maybe things we've been seeing, we've learned over the years as children growing up, or what we've seen in our homes. And so it's an unlearning and a relearning, and I'm in that process right now, working with Tam, learning different ways of looking at things, so that I don't let things, I've said this to my son, you can't let something small keep you from something big. So the barriers that we sometimes stop at, it's because we say, oh, we can't go past that barrier. But once you find a way to go around or above or through the barrier, then now you're in another echelon, you're now in another place, and now you can see things from a different perspective, and then financially that also shows. And during the pandemic, that helped me a lot, because of course we weren't moving around as much, and
Mhm.
I still had all my ideas in my head, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with all this? So I started doing videos and things like that, and just ways to expand and to get to know more people. And I was able to do, I remember being invited to participate in a summit virtually, from another state.
Okay.
And different things, different opportunities came up during the pandemic that I wouldn't have thought I could have done, right? So I'm learning that that's one of my passions too, is that I can do things and talk to different people and interact with people without that block that you sometimes find in corporate America, where you can only go so far. You can't talk to that person because you're not at the level to talk to them on a level that you want to speak to them. That
Mhm.
happens sometimes. And then the commute thing, I'm still working on that too. I would prefer not to. So I like that when you are an entrepreneur, you get a chance to do whatever you need to do wherever you want to do it. And just having the freedom of time, the freedom of how much I earn, the
Mhm.
freedom of who I want to interact with and spend my time with. Those are some of the perks, and doing things that I'm passionate about, things that make me wake up in the morning bright-eyed, ready to go, things like that. So,
That's awesome. And
yeah.
I mean, one bright side, unfortunately, of this pandemic, we see how the internet really can go across the globe.
Mhm.
Virtually, a lot of people are doing more stuff. So, like, well, you can't go to Ohio, but y'all can get on the Zoom or whatever forms of looking at each other like the Jetsons and still get it done.
Right.
And I don't
Yes.
think we probably looked at it like that before the pandemic. It was more, oh,
That's
no, we
that's
got
right.
Florida for the thing. Oh, it got canceled. But now, like, ain't nothing canceled. Hey, we just going to hop online. We still going to get it done.
Right. That's
Now,
it.
do you think, did you start your entrepreneur journey before the pandemic or did the
Yes, I
pandemic?
did. Yes, I did. Because my book came out in 2011, I started officially my business in 2012. So
Okay.
I've been doing this for a while, but not as focused as I was during the pandemic, because of course, as I said, you had now more time to think and to plan and to try different things because you're home. So
Mm. Yeah.
um, it forced me to rethink my business, basically. And so I was able to actually experiment too. I started different things. I was like, I don't think I like that. Let me drop that off and try this. And so I did a lot of that, especially the first 2 years, because I would say we're still in the pandemic, just not as severe.
True.
But the first couple years, I used all of that time to really explore where my passion really lies, because sometimes it's hard to figure out what you love when you are good at a few things.
That's
So
true.
I had to do like a process of elimination. I'm like, okay, this, I'm not really as passionate about this as I thought I was. So let me do this thing over here because I really like this one. So that helped me before I met Tam. That was very helpful that I did that before I met her, so that we can focus on the things that I'm really, really passionate about and build it out and take it to the next level. So yeah, I did see life before the pandemic as an entrepreneur, and during, and coming out hopefully on the other side. So yeah.
Yeah, because they call this the Great Resignation, and
Yeah.
like everybody, like, man, I could die tomorrow. Have I done what I was created to do? Let me find out. And it's like, boom, everybody
Yeah.
out here doing anything. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I still work though, by the way, but who knows for how long.
There you go. It's going to be the main thing at some point. That's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
So, what was your biggest challenge on your journey so far?
Could you repeat the question again? I didn't hear the
What
ending.
was your biggest challenge on your journey so far?
Oh, okay. So my biggest challenge on my journey so far has been, to be honest, marketing what I do. It has
Okay.
been hard for me to do that. I really have fought with that for a while. Um, I think sometimes too, for those of us who are solo entrepreneurs, is you are looking at what you do and then you wonder what's the metric to measure how
Hmm.
good you really are
Okay.
versus, say, the rest of the world that's doing something similar to what you do. I find that some people are very good at marketing themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean they're good at what they do.
True.
So I have tried to find the balance between what I'm really good at and finding a way to now share with the world, hey, this is what I do. I love it. I've gotten good reviews. For example, editing. Editing is really one of my strongest points. I
Hmm.
have a lot of repeat customers. I have had, as I told you, that one lady, I edited 2 of her books. That's not
Hmm.
unusual for me to have people write one book and come back to me a couple of years later and say, hey, you edited my first book. I want you to do this one. And one of my clients, David Burris, you may have heard of him. He wrote The Blueprint, and I had the privilege of editing that book. And that book, we don't even know where has the book, who has the book, because it's just everywhere. And that was one of my biggest projects. When I say biggest, in terms of the visibility of my project. And I really enjoyed editing that book. And it's just trying to find ways to say, hey, I like this, I love this, if I do this for you, you will love the outcome as well, that kind of thing. He told me I'm his editor, so if he ever writes another book, he's coming back. So
Yeah, I'll interview him. He's a good dude.
oh, okay, good.
Down in Florida. Good dude.
Yeah. Yes.
Great book as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you're doing right now that you want to market?
So right now we are getting ready to, I'm going to be speaking at an event in the Poconos in August. I can give you the exact information I can send it to you and then you can add it to this. But Obiama Martin is the host for the event, and it will be a 3-day event. I'm doing
Okay.
this from memory, a 3-day event, and I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to being there. I will be speaking with the ladies. It's a women's event. I'll be speaking
Okay.
with the women that will attend to talk to them about the process of writing a book. Also, I want to encourage them so that they know that writing a book is a life change for those who haven't done it yet. And
Absolutely.
when you start the process and when you end
Absolutely.
the process, you're two different people.
Preach it.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that you're not the same person when you start a book versus when you end a book.
Man, you
And
preach
I
right.
guess you can testify to that.
You preach right now. For real.
Yeah. So I want to prepare people for the whole thing of being life changed, if you want to put it that way, as you embark on that journey. So looking forward to it.
Hey, you ever got that retrospective after you were done? Like, wow, I put all that down in the book. I didn't expect to do all that.
Yes, yes, that happens. That happens all the time. There are two books that I'm still in the process of writing, and I've been writing them now for a couple of years, mainly because I don't know if I'm ready to drop them. It's
Oh
not that
man,
I can't finish them. It's just that
ooh,
I
I've been
don't
there.
know.
First book. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know what's gonna
Man,
happen when I hit send or publish or
man,
whatever.
we vibing right now because the first book I talked about attempted suicide. Like, I want to put that in the book.
Oh
I
wow.
wrote one of my song, but books forever, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, God slap you on the head. I told you to write the book, help people, hit send.
Yes, yeah.
I get that hesitation, man. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, because the first book, my story for the first book is, and I actually republished it for a 10-year anniversary last year.
Awesome.
So when I was first putting out that book, I actually called the publisher in tears and said, listen, I don't know if it's a good idea for me to publish this book. I spent all that money. I said, I don't know. Let me think about it. Give me 2 days to think about it if
Uh-huh.
I should do it. So he suggested that I put like a kind of like a disclaimer at the front of the book to just
I
let
got
people know that I'm recording. This is my story, and these are my thoughts, and these are my feelings about the different things I went through. And
Mhm.
so it was not meant to be malicious or to harm anyone. So I felt better after he suggested that, and he actually wrote it for me. And then we put it in the book, and then eventually I prayed a lot, and then we released the book. My biggest concern, of course, was the person I was married to before and their response to what I would put in the book. And I didn't put everything, I just put enough. And then if you thought about it, you could probably figure out some of the rest. And eventually he heard about it. And I did an interesting thing. I actually got a copy and I autographed it and I handed it to him. I said, here. So, you know, you can read it and reflect and see. And I said, the one thing I asked him is, can you tell me if what was in there is not true? And he never answered that question. So I felt better knowing that, okay, he knows it's out there. And a lot of the information that was shared, it's really just my reflection on life from a child all the way up to the point that the book was closed off, you know, and was ended. So the 10-year anniversary version has kind of like a catch-up chapter, what happened over the 10 years.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's kind of like a collector's edition, so to speak.
Awesome. Had to get it.
Yeah, yeah. So you should get it. You really
Yeah,
should.
I got support. Authors, we gotta stick together.
Okay, good, good.
What's the name
Appreciate
of it?
that.
Again?
It's My Life and I Live Here, One Woman's Story, the 10-year edition, and I do have a copy of it. If you give me a second, I could pull it, show it to you. But I don't
It's
think.
your show. You
Was
got it. Go
that?
ahead. It's your show. All about you.
I'm
Take
looking
time.
to see if it's close. I don't want to go too far away. It doesn't look like it's close by. But yeah, it's a very appealing cover too. It has my face on the cover, and it's like a nice pink, bright pink cover. So I think
What
it
I do
is.
is on Amazon.
Yes, it's on Amazon, definitely.
When I create the episode, if you've been noticing, you see latest episode available. I'm gonna put
Okay.
that link in with it so they can go find it.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. And something that I've been told to be more active on social media to market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really wasn't. You couldn't tell me I'd be doing this right now. Interviewing people. I mean, I like talk about sports, politics, music, whatever. But some people find their purpose. Now, who that guy? Brian, where he at? Oh, you like who? No, Jeff, no, that wasn't me, man. Like, go on, guy. Quit playing games, man. Go that dude over there. I gotta interact with people. Man, they don't think I'm a stranger danger. Like, hey, interact. I have a show, like interview, help people. Like, oh man, how am I coming from? So I understand.
Yeah, I could tell too.
I gotta help.
I could tell that about you. The thing is, it's funny because I'm doing a lot of things too that I never dreamed I would ever do. Because like you, I'm really behind the scenes. I'm a behind the scenes person. So I do a lot of things on social media, but that's easy because you can't see my face more than half the time. But as you're saying, when you go on video, when you're recording, things like that, you're talking to people, interacting, then it's like, okay, all right. Now you're putting more of yourself out there, you know, and people are getting to hear.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's still a musician. Like you making music, people might like it. You have to talk to them. So I ain't got to think of about people. Like they're gonna get to know me. Like man, I'm vulnerable. It's weird. Like I had that hang up in your musician. You write books. What's wrong with you? Weird as I don't know what. Real.
Huh. Yeah,
What you
I
supposed to
know
know?
what you mean. Know what you
Got your
mean.
word. You know, I like your book. Like, oh, you read it? Oh my. You read all of
Yes.
it? Yeah. It helped me. Like, okay. Okay. Get out your own head. I know that like I'm a musician, so I ain't got no sense. But I know it makes sense that I might be introvert and do a lot of extrovert stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's talent he gave me. But I'm learning
Yeah.
more every time I interview amazing people like you about your story. Y'all want to
Yes.
share.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's like he crazy.
No, I believe me, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I get it.
In my second book, I've spoken with my wife about it because it talks about some
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Very respectful because we don't do disrespect out in these streets. I don't believe in that. But
Mm-hmm.
I get those conversations you have for real, and I still got to finish editing it. I'm like, okay, you got to put that one out. But Lord, he really got me on transparency, man. I don't know why God tripping, but I mean this is weekend too. You know, he saved the world. He really got
Yes.
me out
Yeah.
like transparency, Jeff. Be transparent. Everything you're doing.
Yeah.
How hard that is, Michelle. You just don't understand.
Yeah, I know. I know. The thing though is that people relate to transparency. So we can't have them tell us their story and we don't tell it back, you know, tell them our story back, you know. So I feel like publishing my story and it being as public as it is because it's published and has been out there for 10 years. Um, then when I tell you, you need to write your story and that your story can help other people, I'm not being hypocritical. I've done it, right? So I did it too. So I'm not telling you to do something I never did. So that's another way of looking at it too, is that you're authenticating your work by you doing it too. And so
Mhm.
when you turn around and talk to the next person, they can't argue with you because you did it. You
Yeah, see,
know,
we were same
so
team for a while, Michelle. We were same team. Now you talking to God talk now. I want to do it. I thought you was on the team. I guess not.
no, you have to
Oh,
do it.
that's true. Last question. What
Okay.
advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Okay. And I wrote a book about that too, The Power of Purpose, Living Your Destiny.
Oh my God.
Um, somebody trying to find their purpose, I think one thing that you can do is you need to identify the things that you're passionate about. I would say at least 5 things. Break out a piece of paper, a book, and write down maybe on one side all the things that you're passionate about, and then on the other side you're going to do the what you love about it, what you don't like about it, because everything that we love tends to have like a and B side, kind of like a CD or a cassette that's really, where
Oh,
you have
so
the A and the B side.
sure.
So there are things I love about editing, and there's still things I really don't like about editing, but I do it anyway because the love of it outweighs the negative parts or the challenging parts. So
Okay.
you have to see what are the things that drive you, the things that you would do if nobody was paying you and you'd still do it, the things that would make you wake up in the morning bright and early before everybody else, because this is what you get to do every day,
Sure.
and the things that would allow you to be your best and highest self. You know, what brings out
Mhm.
the best in you? What makes you shine? So what makes you shine in your own mind, and what makes you shine in the eyes of others too, because you're trying to earn money with this purpose thing, right? So you kind of want to look at it in terms of, hey, if I do this, I can earn income doing this because it's my strength and
Mhm.
people recognize it as my strength. And then you can figure out too what you are already an expert in that you don't even notice that you're an expert in it. One example, there's
Mhm.
somebody I know who's really good at organizing, like, closets, like women's clothes. Like, for example, she's a clothes person, so she's clothing, shoes. But in the midst of that, she's actually able to help you organize your closet. Now, for some of us, that's a huge challenge. So
Yeah.
she can turn that into a passion that pays because she's good at that part. She may not even think of it as a money maker, but there's a lot of people with that challenge. They don't know how to organize to put their stuff away so that, number one, it's aesthetically pleasing when you open your closet, and number two, you
Sure.
can find everything you need right as soon as you open it. She's really good at that. And in fact, as I'm telling you this, I think I need to tell her that she's to pursue that as well as another way to make income. So those are the types of things that you don't even think are money makers because you just never thought of it. Add it to the list anyway, because if you do research, you may find that there's people who are doing this and making a lot of money, right? So those are
Mhm.
just a couple basic tips I would offer to people. And I can repeat it again so it's clearer. Identify the thing or things that you're passionate about,
Mhm.
wakes you up in the morning. It comes easy to you, and it's a challenge for others, but it's easy for you, and you can make money from it. That's a way you can look at it.
Now, what's
And
her
remember,
name? So I expect
what's
to have her
that?
on at some point. What's her name? Because I expect her to be an entrepreneur at some point. I need to interview.
Oh, you want me to tell her name, the person I'm thinking of?
Yeah, she gonna have that business because you gonna talk with her. She gonna get out there and get grinding.
Okay. Well, the name that she uses on social media is called Mama Souls Up. So it's MAMASOLESUP, because she usually coordinates outfits from the shoes up. So she says
Okay.
souls up. And
Nice.
she's actually my stylist. But I've heard her talk about helping people with their closets, and just as we're talking, I'm like, hey, she could actually make money doing that too.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
wanna make it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So
This is your first time doing a podcast, or you done these plenty times before?
no, I've done quite a few. I've
Okay.
done a few, and I actually have a podcast. And I will be more than likely creating a podcast as a spinoff from the show, where some
Oh,
of my interviews we just convert it to audio, or just use the audio file, I guess, and make it a podcast. So I have experience with podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I I appreciate the advice. You sharing your story.
Yes.
You
Thank you
somewhat
for
been on my team.
I understand your side, but I'm not
Let me
letting
mess
you
with
off the hook. I'm not letting you off the hook. Whatever you have to share, we need it. So
you.
we need it.
I guess you're right, Michelle.
Yes. Yeah, I know I am.
hmm I definitely want to make sure I get all your title because you got this added now. Exposure magazine writer, author, editor, speaker, writing coach, host of Meet the Author TV show and future podcast, and CEO of Michelle G. Cameron LLC.
Hmm.
Michelle G. Cameron from sharing her story. Hope whoever hears this will be inspired to get on a purpose or start again. And you're awesome. I'm gonna put all this good stuff in the show. Well, when I promote it, to let them know where your books are, the links for it. Anything else you might need me to add to it, I can add. I'm sending you a copy of it.
Okay.
And you're awesome.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah, it took a minute, but we got it going. Nice to meet you as well.
Yes.
And
All
to
right.
everyone, you enjoy your resurrection Easter weekend.
Oh, same to you. Thank you.